Lee was really trying to.
Oh wow, we jumped the gun. Sorry, I
It's
didn't mean to do
okay.
that. Yeah, yeah, we'll save that for as we go on. But what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Analog Legends podcast. We're just having a chill night here, and we're gonna talk some Power Rangers. And it started with we were doing last week. We did favorite. How do we describe it? Favorite fast food movie tie-ins of our childhood, which really means the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we had one early 2000s. You had Pokemon, so you had an early 2000s one.
Yeah. I think the Pokemon the movie's still 99 though. So
Is it?
it's.
Oh, okay. It's close. And Phantom Menace was 99, so we're almost there.
Yeah, we're almost there, you know. It's weird. And when I think of it like that time period, I'm like, I don't remember. Was there a tie-in for the Matrix ones? I feel like there should have been, but I don't, for some reason I can't remember them.
No, I feel like there was a lot of, if I remember correctly, and we'll go back to Power Rangers, I feel like I remember hearing that they weren't expecting the Matrix to really be that big of a hit. Like they were kind of thinking it was going to be, but I'm pretty sure Burger King did stuff for like the sequels. If
Yeah,
I'm
maybe
not,
that's. Yeah, I feel like there was something. I can't
yeah,
picture it to save my life, but
I want to say maybe Burger King or Taco Bell for like 2 and 3, which I don't even remember those movies. I kind of just like they disappeared.
I
But
love I love 2 and 3, you know. So
really,
yeah, I actually two's my favorite one. So
more than the first one.
oh yeah, I like it way more than the first one.
Mm, wow, we'll have to talk about those sometime soon. I never saw the recent meta one they made.
Yeah, that one's okay. You know, that's one of those ones. If you see it, it's not bad, but it's not. If you didn't see it, you're not missing out on anything. It's
Is it
not like
better than Independence Day Resurgence?
no. I think I like Independence Day Resurgence more than Matrix
Oh
Four.
man, I hated Independence. Oh gosh, yeah, I was so disappointed in that one. I mean, they managed to make Jeff Goldblum unlikable. Um,
At least still have
but
President Bill Pullman in it. That's all
yeah,
that matters.
President Pullman actually, would work right now just in general. I think.
I think we need a President Bill Pullman.
Yeah, I think we need to do an episode on best movie slash TV show presidents
I like that idea.
and do a campaign on just which one we think. Who would we? I think Morgan Freeman's good. Deep
Yeah,
Impact. He was
Harrison
great.
Ford. Harrison Ford defends an entire airplane.
Yeah, okay. Harrison Ford wins. So why are we even doing it? Because Harrison Ford's going to win. But it would be interesting to have like a little primary,
Yeah,
like
exactly. You know.
the Democrat primary, the Republican primary, and then you have like the movie primary, and you have just like Morgan Freeman, Harrison Ford, and we just see which one gets the nomination. I think Ford's gonna. I think he's a strong front runner.
Yeah, exactly. But we also have other. We have other ones like Kelsey Grammer played the president. Dennis Hopper.
Yeah.
You know, the dude. I can't remember the dude's name, but the guy from 24. Super good president.
Kiefer Sutherland.
Not Keith. Well, Keith Sutherland's the main. He's the action guy, but it's the black dude in there who's got the real deep voice. He was always for like Allstate and everything
Oh
too.
yeah, yeah, he
That
did.
guy. That dude was the president in the 24. I remember he was really good.
Yeah, yeah. Deep black guy with deep voice goes a long way as president. That's just
Yeah,
that's how it is.
he's got his wife in there that's always doing evil shit. She's always up to no good.
Was that a thing in the show? I don't remember that.
Yeah, it was, you know, because yeah, she was kind of like, yeah, she would literally like turn on people and whatnot like that, and do some
Mm,
kind of heinous stuff, and
mm,
all the twists and turns of what 24 was.
yeah. Oh,
It's been, I would say it's been a good while since I've seen it, but that
yeah.
was one of the like the better TV shows.
Never watched it. Never watched one. You know what? Well, we get back. We gotta get back to Power Rangers. So, one I was thinking about rewatching recently, Nash Bridges.
I remember that one. I never watched it, but I do remember it.
My family, they weren't big like continuity TV people. My dad was watching TV all the time, but they didn't watch a lot of like TV shows.
Hmm.
Um, it was like the news or like sports and mostly news and sports. And then
Yeah,
some dad would watch Cops.
yeah,
And then, but they did watch, my mom watched Nash Bridges. She really liked it. I think she liked Don Johnson
yeah. Oh, gotta like Don Johnson now.
and Cheech. have Cheech and Don.
Yeah, a good combo.
It's like a late boomer, almost Gen Xer.
Hmm.
Yeah, they like Don and Cheech. But yeah, Power Rangers.
Yeah, we're going to the Power Rangers. You know,
Yeah,
the good old classic movie, but along with the whole spectrum of what it was like to be in 1993, you know, to about 96 or so. Oh, look, you got yours there.
yeah.
The one thing I will say that makes I open this one up, and this is what makes me really excited, though, and this is something you probably can't tell on screen, but my VHS, as I realize, it's one of the ones that comes from my local video store, video
That's
scene. So when I saw that in there, I'm like, yes, I'm so glad I have that one because this would have been the one that I would have rented back in the day, anyways. So the fact that you own your rental copy is always something special.
that's hard. That's hard. I know I have. I need to go back to my parents' stuff that they have way back at home because I feel like there's a few VHS tapes in there. I need to retrieve them because I feel like there's a few from T-Town Video or Kathy's Video.
Yeah, you got to have those. I mean, and then there's this is the other one I got. Am I showing this right side there? You might not be able to read it, but it's
Yeah.
Power Rangers 1993 to 94. This was taped off Fox Kids in the Sacramento area. My buddy Matt gave me this one. He saw. I was like, yes, I want that because that was like, I wish I probably, if I look hard enough, I think that actually might be one of the few VHSs I may have, but like the quality that I had, you know, is like I didn't get the greatest signal from Fox, so you know they were good enough for the time, but you would watch them nowadays and it'd be like, geez, you're trying to really make that antenna work there.
Well, I mean, the quality wasn't always the best anyway with Power Rangers. So to be honest, it's always kind of grainier look. Has that kind of Japanese sheen to it. Obviously, with
Yeah.
the fight scenes and stuff. Anyway, that kind of smoky quality. I can't explain it, but you know what I'm talking about.
It's the same thing that Godzilla has, where there's always just like
Yeah,
smoke rolling through, and that kind of fog, maybe or whatever they're using. Explosions have constantly been going off.
it has a unique sheen, just a unique grain to it too. It's hard to, but if you've seen Power Rangers, you know what I'm talking about. It's a weird look.
Yeah. Well, it's
But
very anime, but it's like that time period. Like, I still feel these are some of those areas where like they're kind of like hiding the anime from like American kids.
yeah,
It's like sort of like when they gave out kind of Speed Racer. Like Speed Racer just kind of comes by itself. There's like nothing else tied to it. It's like makes you think any differently. You're like, oh, it's backed up against Johnny Quest and Space Ghost. Okay, you don't question it. And that was the same thing with like Voltron. Voltron was just kind of backed up against like Transformers and GI Joe. So you didn't really question it too much. You're like, there's something different about it, but I can't put my finger on what it is. You know.
I believe. Yeah,
And that was the same way Power Rangers kind of was too. It's like you knew that there was something a little bit unique about it, but once again, you couldn't figure out what it was. And by about the mid '90s forward, then they kind of just reveled in the fact that like, no, this is straight out of Japan and
yeah,
stuff. And then
Sam.
Sailor Moon, Dragon Ball Z, Rama One Half, Pokemon, all those ones. Once they let the floodgate open, and then they realized they're like, oh no, the kids like it more. The more hardcore Japanese it is, like we don't need to try to hide it by like putting a bunch of American stuff over the top. We can just let them have the full uncut package. That's what they really want.
Full uncut pack. um, yeah, that's what I was looking for with Power Rangers. It was. Do you remember? Like, so were you a big Power Rangers kid?
Yes, I mean, as you can tell, I have this Power Rangers 1994 hat on that was made for a kid. That's why it fits kind of stupid on my head right now. But it's like if I wasn't wearing headphones, this thing would not stay on. But no, when I was a kid, 93 to probably about 96, I was really into Power Rangers, like hardcore. That was like my jam. I mean, I used to tell time based on how long a Power Rangers episode was.
Yeah.
My mom had explained to me in time, be like, well, it's like the equivalent of like 3 Power Rangers episodes. Be like, oh, okay, I know. I know, I understand.
Yeah.
And it just kind of hit perfectly like that time period where everything just in it, like the story's cool, the characters are awesome, the fucking Megazords and all that stuff, everything tied into it with the video games and whatnot, the full package. It was something magical.
It was. It was a magical time. It was what I transitioned to from Ninja Turtles, which I think that was a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ninja Turtles was on its downslope when Power Rangers was coming in. And so it was I can't say I liked it more than Ninja Turtles. I mean, obviously didn't, but I liked it a lot. And I, I remember seeing it. When I saw it for the first time was I was up in West Virginia. I was going to Thanksgiving up there with my family. And I hope my cousin Doug runs comes with this because he probably doesn't even know he's the one reason for this. But I had known of Power Rangers. I had saw some other people watching it, and some kids at school talked about it, but I hadn't really given it a chance yet. I thought it looked kind of stupid, to be honest with you. And then my cousin Doug it was Thanksgiving Day, and they have on Fox, they have the Thanksgiving Day game, which is usually Dallas versus Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's always Detroit.
Yeah, always Detroit on Thanksgiving, and for a while it was Dallas versus Detroit every Thanksgiving, and then but they're having the game at 1, but before the game came on, they were having that day a Power Rangers marathon. And so I was up really, really early. Everybody's cooking food, hanging out and talking. Doug's sitting in front of the TV. I'm like, what are you watching? It's Power Rangers. I'm like, I'll give this a shot. And we sat down and watched it like forever, like eating, just gouging with food and watching Power Rangers. And I was like, okay, this shit's pretty fire. I can't remember what that was. I want to say maybe 94 or maybe late 93. I'm not sure, but probably 94.
Yeah. Well, because the weird thing is like, it's like it probably has to be 93 or 94 because Power Rangers kind of radically start shifting like, like 95, 96. And then by like 97, it's practically like it's almost unrecognizable anymore.
Yeah.
Because, in Super Sentai, the Japanese show that Power Rangers is pretty much taken from, what they did is every single season they just had a completely different roster of characters and droids and all that kind of stuff, and that was part of like the theme is that it always switched. So like for the American ones, because they took that stuff and they're like, hey, you know what, we got this idea, the Saban guy, where he's like, what if we just take these Japanese shows and we cut in just some American characters here and there, and then we'll use all the action scenes from the Japanese ones, and we'll like edit them together and kind of like hodgepodge it, which sounds really like you could just see him pitching this idea and being like, you're gonna just cut up a Japanese show, throw in some American characters and some settings here, and it's just all gonna work out.
Yeah, I mean.
It does. It strangely enough does.
Yeah, it does work. I mean, it's bad, but in the best way possible.
Mm-hmm.
I think what really just nailed the Power Rangers, the aesthetic was so cool.
Look,
it does. Yeah, the helmets especially are just well designed. They were able to incorporate robots. You're able to incorporate dinosaurs cleverly. Like you're able to cross so many different interests. I mean, this is post Jurassic Park for a lot of it.
Yeah.
So you already got the dinosaur craze. Now you got robot dinosaurs. You got ninja still. You got karate, which kids are still into because fucking 90s.
Yeah, 80s and 90s karate's still just as big.
Yeah,
Ninja Turtles, of course, makes it skyrocket.
Yeah. And then you have that Ninja Turtles element too. You have the blue one, the red one, so on. The black.
Except for the smart one is that they throw in 2 girls into this.
Yeah. And I think they were scared to do that with other stuff, but with this, it always worked. Plus, I mean, let's face it, for the guys, the Pink Ranger was the most popular one.
Yeah, and it's same, Trini as well too. But the thing is like, because I remember as a kid, girls were just as much in the Power Rangers as guys. It wasn't one of those shows where it's just like, it's kind of like a dude fest, like, like G.I. Joe or something like that. It's like, no, with Power Rangers, it was like legitimately like a whole group of kids, both guys and gals could literally play this in the playground. And there was nothing weird about it, Kind of the same way that X-Men did. X-Men also was good about crossing both like a female and male audience, and because it had a balanced roster.
Yeah, and I think one thing that also appealed like to both guys and girls is that with the American scenes that they cut in, the little group dynamic that they had, they kind of created like a Saved by the Bell type situation.
Yeah, that's what I used to always think of it like. It's literally Saved by the Bell scenes cut with Japanese like anime action.
Yeah, that's what it felt like. So it worked. It just felt natural, and it didn't feel like you were watching an action show. It felt like you were watching a group of kids interact in their daily lives, but then also they're ninjas that fight giant robots and shit. So it was weird. It's such a they crossed so many elements. The only thing I can think of, honestly, that crosses as many elements as Power Rangers is Star Wars.
Yeah.
Because Star Wars, you have your westerns, you have your Eastern religion stuff, you have your mythology, you have, spaghetti western, you have everything in Star Wars. Your hot rod movies. I mean, it goes on and on. Power Rangers encompasses so much, and it's weird that they were able to achieve that when you're taking half the show with stock footage from Japan. You know what I mean? It's so weird that they were able to make that work.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. It's kind of like almost like a weird lightning in a bottle, perfect mix.
It is.
Because even like I've looked at some of the Super Sentai stuff, and this course is very Power Rangers and so on. It's got a very more like samurai theme for all the characters, and weirdly enough, the Trini is actually is a dude in like the Japanese one. So you have that, but it's that thing of like putting in like the hip, 90s kids, like give it the school atmosphere, like a kind of mixed match melodrama / sitcom kind of vibe. And then you throw the action on top of it too.
Yeah, it works. And the action was fun, even though it frankly looked bad, because it just looks different than it. I don't want to say it looked bad. It just looked different on TV, and it made it look kind of aged in a way.
I guess I always felt that was the strongest part of Power Rangers was the martial arts and the action was all pretty darn dialed in.
Oh, that part's great. Yeah, I'm just talking about actual like the look of the show, the graininess of it, and everything kind of looked out of place in a weird way.
Oh, you mean like because the Japanese stuff kind of has like it's almost like they shot it on 16 millimeter compared to the U.S. shot it on TV cameras probably most likely, but
yeah. Well, they have a new. I haven't even had a chance to watch any of it. They have a new Power Rangers. They basically remastered the show.
I heard about that. I didn't even know that existed.
Yeah, it's on Netflix now, and I've been meaning to go back and watch it. I can't remember what it's called.
I think it's called Recharged, or it literally has a something in it.
Well, that's the same as the new action figures has that same branding, Recharged or something. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, because I'm kind of curious about that too. Is like I wonder if they do something. Do they like re-edit the episodes and stuff like that?
They upgraded. They scaled it up. It's supposed to be like 4K or whatever. Not it's supposed to look better, but they cleaned up some of the grain, and there was a lot of weird shots in there that didn't work and like mess ups, and they kind of fixed some of it. They used AI to go in there and fix some of it too, I think. And they did also that Power Rangers movie about 2 years ago.
Oh yeah. There was that Netflix one. The only thing it just had Billy and Zach were I think the only two that were in it.
Yeah, they used some of the stuff from like the other. I can't even remember all the other Power Rangers after the first one. Like, there's like Turbo, then there's like the new ones like they're dinosaurs again. I think.
Yeah.
I can't remember. There was like
there's the Galaxy one.
Yeah, the Galaxy one. I vaguely remember that one. There was one that was like I can't remember what Neo or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing is they kind of had a Power Rangers for every like generations in a weird way, like by switching that. Once again, I think that was the Super Sentai model was the fact that they knew their kids were always going to kind of roll over, so like they kind of kept each one like its own unique thing.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah,
it works. My son watches the most recent one. I can't remember what it's called. I think it's Dragon Force. I think. Or something like that, which we watched some of that together. And I was like, "Wow, one thing about it is the spirit of it stayed the same. Like they've been able to capture that spirit and the essence of it, pretty much through everything, except for the two movies, which are kind of this started because you wanted to watch the movie."
Yeah, we were talking about the movie and so on like that, and we decided we're like, hey, well let's use the movie as the center piece, and we could talk about that, but then we could talk about all the other stuff, the Power Rangers that kind of culminates together.
Yeah, because we were doing last week. We did the fast food tie-ins, and we talked about '90s Happy Meals and different things, and talked about the Godzilla Happy Meal and Batman Forever, Batman Returns, Phantom Menace, on and on. Of course, we talked about the Power Rangers one, which I still attest is one of the best. The toys were so good for the Power Rangers movie, and you were like, "Man, we need to watch that," and I was like, "Yeah, we kind of do." It's been something I thought about a lot too.
Yeah.
Power Rangers and Space Jam.
Yep. Well, it's one of those ones I've been wanting to podcast the Power Rangers movies since probably like the dawn of podcasting, and never got around to it till now.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. So I didn't get a chance to fully go back and rewatch it, but luckily I rewatched it March, February, or something like that. Because yeah, my son wanted to watch it, and we watched some of Turbo too, which is weird.
Yeah, so I kind of want to go back and watch because I probably haven't seen Turbo since the '90s.
Yeah, Turbo. But one thing about Turbo is that one's considered canon, and the Power Rangers movie is considered the movie. The big one everybody had to go see is considered non-canon because it kind of contradicts. So it was between seasons 2 and 3, and so it got the origin stuff that's in this Power Rangers movie and some of the explanations on the power and Zordon and all that stuff contradicts things that happen in season 3 of Power Rangers. Apparently, this shit's canon in my mind.
Yeah, exactly. It was weird because it's like it's coming from the. I mean, like, granted, the one thing that makes the movie really unique and different is the fact that it's like this is what happens when you allow Americans to make a Power Rangers thing with no Japanese help.
Yeah.
Because that's literally like that's the one. It's like it's almost like it feels like it's a test. Like, hey, can you actually do this on your own? Without having us, all our Japanese footage. And in some ways, they do a decent job. And then in some other ways, you go, maybe it would have been best if you would have grabbed the Japanese guys and let them do that final scene.
That's the perfect way to describe it. Is that some areas it's better. There are areas where it's like, man, they know how to market this shit. They know how to they knew how to make it look cooler, I think.
Well, they had a movie budget. I think that's the biggest difference too.
The movie budget, but there was also just some ideas like the suits in the movie. I actually like those suits a lot. And
well, that's what I mean is I feel the suits because you could pump some more money into them and make them look more like armored like and badass and so on.
Yeah, that was cooler. There's a lot of elements, but then there was like the Zords better from the TV. I mean, they're fucking dinosaurs in TV show. This is like you got a gorilla. I can't even remember what's all in there.
It's like a frog, a gorilla, a falcon. Yeah. Even as a kid, I remember that it was like that seemed like a downgrade. I think it sounds strange, but I think that was almost one of the main reasons that I kind of fell out of Power Rangers is when it got to season 3. I think I just kind of didn't care as much because they weren't dinosaurs. It's like that almost was like the thing that made me kind of lose it a bit. I didn't dislike it, but like I was going to start switching to other shows in a sense.
Yeah, and also like I mean. Not only the dinosaurs cool, so you had Triceratops, Tyrannosaurus, Pterodactyl, but then you also had a fucking woolly mammoth and a saber-toothed tiger.
Yeah.
So that was hard as shit. I mean, and they all looked so good.
And then the Green Ranger gets his Dragon Zord, which sometimes I feel like they make the Green Ranger almost like way too good. You know what I mean? Like everybody else is so like you would think if you were any of those other actors, you would be dude like what the hell? Like dude, he not only does he get his own Megazord that's the same size as ours when we all combine together, he's got armor on, he's got a different look, he gets the little whistle thing that. Yeah. Like, everything he has, he's got long hair. It's like, dude, it's like one of those ones, like, they gave him extra every bells and whistles,
Yeah, it always bothered me because that bothered me a little bit too. But what bothered me even more is that I always wish instead of the Green Ranger turning into the White Ranger when he becomes a good guy, the Green Ranger just stays the fucking Green Ranger because the Green Ranger is way cooler.
I think so too.
Yeah. And then you could have had like another bad group of Power Rangers. You have like the white one. Let's do a purple and an orange. We're out of colors, but figure it out.
Yeah.
Over here.
The magenta.
Magenta. Brown Ranger.
Yeah, the Gray Ranger.
We already did a black one, so. Which, by the way, just the on the noseness of the yellow and the black is just too much. Like, come on, y'all. Big Star Wars and
Well, that's such like a I don't know what it is. That's like that early '90s. Like, hey, we want to be very inclusive for the entire world, but then like sometimes they get certain things like, okay, well, I get it. You have a well-rounded roster of because in a sense, like the Power Rangers are almost kind of like Captain Planet, where like you almost grab somebody from like every point around the world and so on like that, because that's literally what that is. It's like, yeah, you got the Asian guy, you got the black guy, you got the brown-haired girl, you got the Green Ranger who's like Greek or whatever, So like everybody's from different place. I think the original Red Ranger is he the one who's kind of like half Japanese or half Italian? I'm not too sure. Like one of those ones.
I always just thought he was like a knockoff Sylvester Stallone. Like he was like,
yeah, something like that.
Sylvester Stallone.
He's got like the reverse name of the dude who plays Bruce Lee and Bruce or in Dragon, the Bruce Lee story or whatever.
Yeah. I can't think of what you're talking about too, but it was diversity, and I don't think they meant to do this at the time, or they even knew it, or they did, and they just didn't care. But the blue one's gay.
Yeah.
So
Billy,
they were really mean to him about it, apparently. So that's kind of sad.
Well, you want to know something really sad about the Blue Ranger? The very first time I ever went to a Comic-Con, they had the Blue and the Green Ranger there, and so on like that, and I remember because it was the first time I was at Comic-Con, I didn't know how like the whole like procedure went of like when you went to go meet people. I thought you just got in line, you just went up there and you met people and it was like, oh cool, and they autographed something, you shook their hand, you talked to them for a second. I didn't realize that everybody wanted 30 or 50 bucks plus to come meet them. So it was like kind of like a culture shock thing. You're like, dude, we paid like $60 to get in the door and they want more money after this.
Yeah.
And I remember there was a point where I saw the Green Ranger's line was literally like there was no room to stand. Like literally like it was maxed out completely. He had everybody and their mother standing in line to come meet him. And right next door to the Green Ranger was the Blue Ranger. Not a single soul whatsoever in his line. Nobody. And it was that point where I was like, I felt kind of bad. I'm like, well, maybe we should go stand in this line. And it's like, nah, I'm not paying $30.
Yeah.
that was all I thought. I was like jaded by that. I'm like, nope, not for $30. If it was just cool, I'd go up and shake his hand and say, hey, what's going on, dude? But
yeah, we when GalaxyCon came to Raleigh, the Green Ranger was there. But I don't think the Blue Ranger was, but the Green Ranger was there. He had his own panel. But the thing is with him, he's kind of like Anthony Daniels is to Star Wars because he was in so many variations of Power Rangers. He's kind of he was the face of Power Rangers.
Yeah, because he was in it till like I think like the 2000s.
Yeah, and so he was. He's such a big part of it that I think that was something to do with it there too. I don't think it was like Blue Ranger hate, but when I was a kid, Blue Ranger and Black Ranger are my two favorite ones.
No, I love both those guys, and I literally had a Blue Ranger figure and everything. That's what I mean. It's like I like them all and so on like that. But I just felt like it was so sad to see his line, and the Green Ranger had everybody. Mm-hmm. And then, funny enough, though, I did bump into the Green Ranger actually at one point. Like because this just happened, just kind of going through the crowd and everything. Then I bump into a guy, and I see this guy with green hair. I don't think anything. He's like, "Oh, dude, sorry, man." I was like, "Oh, okay, no worries, dude." And then he walks on by, and then he literally goes around this corner, and all I hear on a microphone is like, "Give it up for the Green Ranger!"
Oh shit! He could have went full Green Ranger on you and just
he could have. He just went, just like whooped your ass first.
Is that an ocarina? Shut up, bitch. Yeah, but
dude, he fought in MMA, so he's like legitimate Ranger.
He was legitimate Ranger, unfortunately.
Yeah, too bad he's not around anymore.
Yeah, he was there. I saw him at that panel. That was really cool. They actually had what was weird was they were doing. I don't think they did this in the other years, but the year I was there, they were using that same hall that he was in before that for like a wrestling thing.
Oh, interesting.
And they had like it was kind of like cosplay wrestling, so they were having like actual people who were wrestlers, but they were dressed as whatever,
Spider-Man and
yeah. It was. I think it was more obscure shit. It was obscure to me because I don't, I'm not as comics or anime, but I knew some of it. But
yeah, there's so much of it that like it's That's the thing that makes it so tough is that there's so many of those fandoms that all you have to do is just be out of it for like 2 years and you're totally lost.
Yeah, yeah, but yeah, rest in peace, Green Ranger.
I know.
But wasn't the Black Ranger in Tammy and the T-Rex?
Was he in that one?
I feel like he was. He was in something I saw. He had to eat just, I mean, ass haircut. It was bad. It was one of the worst haircuts I've ever seen. Was it? I feel like it was Tammy and the T-Rex, but maybe I'm completely wrong.
It might have been.
We need to rewatch
that was a good movie though. That was like the perfect example of like a really good, really B movie.
that. That was surprisingly fun. It really was. That movie was so fun. It was like if Cool as Ice was good.
Yeah, at least Cool as Ice is shot really well.
Yeah, fucking Janet Kaminsky. I'm like, God damn, these shots look so good. Way too good for this movie. Who shot this? I look at the cinematography. Oh, it was Academy Award winner Janet
Schindler's List.
He went from Cool as Ice to Schindler's List in a couple years.
Yeah, exactly.
What an upgrade. What a fucking upgrade. But
I was gonna say, speaking of Power Rangers, the movie though, this is the only thing. It's kind of an interesting thing too. You don't really kind of realize until you're kind of going back and rewatching it. And I knew that a couple of the guys are missing, but the fact that you've kind of lost 3 actors at this point. You lost your original Red Ranger, you lost Trini the Yellow Ranger, and Zach's not here anymore for the movie.
Wait, the original Red Ranger's gone too? Passed away too?
No, not passed away. I mean, he's not in the movie because he's only in like the first season. And I know that like what kind of I think happened is that because the way that Power Rangers was sort of shot and everything like that, and they used like non-union actors, so like I think they were getting paid like minimum wage to do Power Rangers, and they made no more money past like royalties and all that kind of stuff, And sometimes I kind of had like I remember like one of them made a comment like, "Well, I could have been making more money at McDonald's." I'm like, "Yeah, let's be honest. What would you rather do? Be working at Power Rangers or working at McDonald's? Shut the hell up." I hate to sort of say it, but like, dude, no, like that. Yeah, maybe you're not making a bunch of money, but I would take the Power Rangers gig so much more. Now, granted, I get it. Probably if you're like a 20-year-old at that time period, Power Rangers probably seems kind of low. You're like, dude, I've been training as a gymnast and a dancer and an actor, and this, I'm doing this goofy mixed match where like half my scenes I'm a Japanese guy. If you didn't really know what the phenomenon was going to be, I can see that, But I feel like a lot of those guys got to be kind of kicking themselves in the long run for like being like, dude, I should have just stuck around for that. I should have been like Tommy and stuck around for that. Whatever. They're like, yeah, but Tommy killed himself. They're like, well,
yeah. I think he was supposed to be getting, if I'm not mistaken, he was either supposed to be getting some work in Star Wars alongside Ray Park, or he was maybe replacing him.
Who, Jason David Frank?
Yeah. Or like I think because what's his name in the show? Fucking cartoon show. Darth Maul has like an older brother.
Okay.
Or something, and I think he's yellow instead of red, or something. And I think he was being looked at for that, or something like that.
Oh, that's interesting.
And then also Ray Park got in trouble showing his PP on Instagram or something.
No.
And
that seems like a Darth Maul thing to do.
It does. Yeah, it does. And so he said, "Oh, I hit the wrong button or whatever." Okay.
Was it double-sided?
No, it wasn't. I didn't see it actually. I just saw the aftermath, and I'm like, "Come on, guys!" But yeah, so I think he was kind of in trouble, but now he's like back in the fold or whatever, and he's all people forgot about it.
Yeah.
But anyway. But yeah, the movie was I liked the movie. I remember it's not as good as like the Ninja Turtles movie.
No. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not as good as that. But it did some things that I really, really liked. I mean, the McDonald's commercials were cool for it. I like the suits. The wire work is ridiculous, but so is Power Rangers, so it was fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I like the ooze, the purple ooze in there. I like Ivan Ooze a lot.
Yeah, I think that guy does a really good job.
Yeah, and I can't believe I didn't know until a few years ago it was Bellic.
Yeah, from Indy.
What the fuck? I mean, that one really, really blew my mind. I'm like, I remember a few years ago when I watched it, I'm like, who plays Ivan Ooze? And I was like, oh my God, that's who's playing. Oh my God. No wonder I like it.
Yeah.
But it captured, you have Bulk and Skull in there. You have, it captures like the fun in it. The Power Rangers are ridiculously cheesy to the point where you kind of hate them. Like
Yeah,
you're just, oh,
because
yeah.
and they always got goofy one-liners to go along with everything in there. Because I
Hey,
think that's always the one thing that I think when people kind of sometimes go back to Power Rangers, it's like is you as a kid you remember all the action and you remember it like almost like it's a serious show, and then when you kind of go back, you kind of forget that it is a little bit goofy and campy, and so it's almost like Batman '66 in a sense where it's like they're not taking it extremely serious,
no,
and that's why I think that like almost like when it comes to doing like a new modern version, like you should almost capture more of the Power Rangers experience where it's like it's in a sense it's kind of similar like Batman, you know what I mean? Like where you tell a serious story but you keep the same look of like the original Power Rangers. Cuz that's where I felt like that 2018 movie kind of fell flat on was that the look wasn't nearly that cool,
no,
because the thing about Power Rangers is just the look you just like the way they look and all the classic stuff looks fantastic. All the villains look awesome, Rita and Goldar and all that stuff. Like they're so badass designed. I think the key thing is just take that and then just make it feel serious. And if
yeah.
you could just keep the same look but have the storyline be told pretty darn like a Batman story. Like it's kind of serious. Like the stakes are real, and things like that.
One thing too that when you watch it as an adult versus watch it as a kid, some of the things that were ridiculous now aren't ridiculous. When I watched Power Rangers again, when I look back at this movie, what I found ridiculous was just all the flipping just for no reason. Like, hey, are you okay? And then instead of running over there to check on them, they do like 12 back flips to get to them, spin. Are you okay? Like, okay.
Yeah, just the back handsprings galore.
Yeah. But then if you try to put yourself through like my son's age, he's 6, and you try to put like he's like the kineticism of it. It's just like, oh, flip, 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 punch, kick, fucking ooze, like this guy's falling off a building. Yeah, yeah. So all that, the energy of it is just constant, especially in the fight scenes, and it's just like it's fucking Coco Melon with karate. It's like it like grabs your attention. It was crack.
Yeah.
It was crack as a kid, and that was one of the reasons it worked. But I mean, I liked it because animation just can't do fight scenes as well. Usually, there's exceptions.
Yeah.
But man, I was at that age where I was wanting more like real good fight scenes, and for a kid, that's the best fight scenes you've ever seen.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is like, and that's the nice thing is the action is kind of consistent in this movie, so it keeps there's not like a lull in this film. Like every point in the movie is like it's good. It's just got continuous action, continuous cool stuff going on, and so on. I mean, even just the beginning, like they start off in the beginning like Point Break, and they're like jumping out of an airplane doing like a benefit like skydive, and it's got Red Hot Chili Peppers playing and everything like that, like. And to top it off, they go from just like skydiving. Once again, let's be honest. Tommy, like everybody jumps out of the airplane, skydiving, cool. But what does Tommy jump out with? Oh, he's got a surfboard in midair, just to up the ante of his cool factor.
Yeah, that one shot of him just like boom, flying through the air on that thing, like it's hard as shit. It really gets cool. And you mentioned when you text me, like when you started watching, like I forgot how 90s this was. Oh, it is 90s as fuck. It's one of the most 90s things you'll ever see.
It's so 90s that by the time they get done with this big old parachuting scene, they get on rollerblades next.
Yeah, they literally parachute down to get on rollerblades and rollerblade off. I mean, it's so, and all this to do karate in the next scene.
Yeah, exactly.
It just needed like basketball.
Yeah, it was missing basketball. I don't know why there was no basketball in this movie.
Yeah, you did have a lot of. I think there was a Charlotte Hornets hat. There was a kid wearing the Jordan hat.
Yeah, that's true. There's a lot of Nike stuff in this movie.
Yeah, because it's very Americanized, but then also I think it was all filmed in Australia.
Yeah, because they needed to save some money on it because they only got $20 million to shoot it. And that was the whole thing. And then like they tried to ask for $5 million more, and they're like, "No, you go make that movie."
Yeah, yeah. It's like, listen, we're trying to make a lot of money here. You don't need to. You don't need. I mean, they did. I'm sure. I'm sure. I don't remember. I meant to look this up though. I don't remember an actual toy line for the movie as much. Like I remember the Happy Meal toys for the movie, but I don't remember the movie themed action figures. I think there was a video game too, but I just remember the game, just the Super Nintendo game.
Well, yeah. So there was a beat 'em up game that was the movie game one that was really good too, and then on the Super Nintendo you had the single player beat 'em up game, and then on the Sega Genesis, which is the one I had back in the day, it was a fighting game, kind of like Street Fighter style.
Okay, yeah. Because I remember the beat 'em up game kind of, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe I'm just thinking of this because they have a new one out that's very similar to the Turtles games.
Yeah.
And I feel like because now there's so you know how they came out with Shredder's Revenge a couple years ago for the Turtles.
Yeah.
They came out with a new Power Rangers game too, and I feel like it was made by the same people who made. Oh, I don't know where my voice is going. I feel like a Tucker Carlson thing going on, but it's they. I feel like it's the same people who made the Turtles one because it looks almost the same, but just with Power Rangers.
Yeah, no, yeah, I played through that one. It's kind of similar. It's a different team, but it kind of tries to capture, the classic, just nostalgic, the original, Gen 1, of Power Rangers and everything. And it was pretty darn fun. I liked it. I dug it.
Yeah, I need to I need to go back and revisit some of those games because some elements of Power Rangers didn't have the staying power as like Ninja Turtles for some reason. I'm not really sure why.
Hmm.
But also their reboots have probably been more. Oh, there we go. Hold on.
Yeah, well, yeah. Well, Power Rangers has kept pretty strong the whole way through. You might just do a little phone spin.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't know if I'll survive it.
but I did play through the Sega Genesis beat 'em up game, or not beat 'em up game, but the fighting game one not too long ago. To tell you the truth, I think it was just a couple of months ago. I'm like, I haven't played it in a while, and it held up the whole way through. I thought it was like, oh, it actually still plays pretty solid. All the moves, all the characters, and so on like that.
Yeah,
They also had another one. There's one for Sega CD that, in hindsight, it's kind of like one of those half-ass kind of games. But at the time, it blew my mind, is because pretty much what they just did is they took like a couple episodes and then you just pretty much press buttons and it advanced the scenes or didn't advance the scenes. But as a kid, when you first see a game like that, you're like, whoa, looks like I'm controlling the actual TV show.
yeah. I feel like, and I might be wrong about this. I feel like Atari Jaguar tried to do one of those field systems at that time. Tried to do a Power Rangers um, video game, and it was really bad, like
Hmm.
one of the worst ever. But I might be wrong on that. I want to say it was a Jaguar, but maybe it was another field system. Maybe I'm just thinking of the Sega CD one.
The Sega CD one might be the one because I didn't think it was on anything else other than Sega Nintendo.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't know. I have to look it up. But there was, I know that for a fact that there was a really, really bad Power Rangers game. Oh, God, this is terrible. But again, I never had a Sega CD, so I don't think I've ever played one.
yeah, it's one of those ones. It was not a common system to run across, at
Yeah,
all. I happened to have a friend who kind of had like all the good electronics and so on like that at his house. He had the Laserdisc player, he had the Sega CD, he had all the Power Rangers toys, all the Zords, the Dragon Zord, and me as a poor kid with taped off TV VHSs. I kind of understood why my parents would drop me off at certain houses when I got older. I was
yeah,
like, wait a second, this makes logical sense. They always would drop me off at like friends' houses that had all kinds of stuff that I could like utilize and then not have to worry about bringing it home.
yeah, yeah. I remember just offshoot of this one time. I remember my buddy Alex, that his cousin, Jim. They weren't super rich or anything, but I remember going over to Alex's house one time, and Jimmy's like, "Go upstairs, go check that out." What I got up there, I'm like, "Oh God, what is it going to be? Who knows with this kid?" I go up there, and it was a Virtual Boy.
Oh,
Yeah, and I was like, "This is terrible because it's going to give me an aneurysm." But I got to play the Virtual Boy for a little bit. That's the only time I've ever been around one in person. Was that?
that's okay. Nintendo's bringing it back. They literally have a new Virtual Boy that you could slap your Switch into and put it up on your face and play the games in stereoscopic 3D. I kid you not. This is a
Wait a
real
minute.
thing.
Does it look the same as it used to look?
It's
Like,
a literal Virtual Boy. Yeah, it looks like the same thing, but you slide your Switch into it and then you put your face up to it.
okay.
Yeah, I saw that one too, and I was like, yeah, I mean, like, I'll say this, as a Nintendo fan, I think that is kind of cool. That is a ballsy choice of something to make. Yeah, I get kind of maybe throwing the Virtual Boy games onto like the Switch shop or something, but the
Yeah.
fact that they're making like, hey, if you want a device that you can like for $120 or whatever the heck it is, and you could slap your Switch in there, and
Much.
yeah, it's Nintendo. It wouldn't be. They're selling a GameCube controller for like $80, so go figure.
I mean, yeah, I mean, that's as an add-on thing, like an extra thing, I don't see a problem. Like if they were using this as like a big like release in stores to like, this is a new Nintendo, whatever, but just like as a gimmicky thing for like the niche people who really like it, I think it's okay. But
Yeah,
still,
because that's what
I
it
feel
is.
like
You'll probably have to buy it on Nintendo.com, but you probably won't find it anywhere else.
yeah. It's like, I guess that's what they're doing instead of releasing the fucking Nintendo 64 Mini, which I want so bad.
I know. I don't think that's ever coming because they have the Virtual Console.
Yeah. It's never going to happen too because they released those mini consoles because I think it was the Wii U didn't do very well. So they're like, we got to make up some money somewhere. Let's just, bait people's nostalgia. And I'm like, I'm in.
Yeah, it works. It works. Yeah.
And you
but
can hack it really easily.
yeah, I mean, I literally hacked mine before I even turned it on.
This,
Yeah, I literally got it, and I just like, you know what? This is what I want to do with it anyways. I'm gonna hack it. I'm gonna put Power Rangers games on it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because I got the power.
yeah. I wanted to play just Power Ranger games. I didn't hack mine correctly, so I need to get somebody else to get on it. But
Well, I
yeah,
hate to sort of say it. Nowadays, they make so many good retro consoles for like $30. You could just buy one of those, and
yeah.
you'll have all the Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis games that your heart will desire.
Yeah, I need to get one of those. Play the retro Power Rangers games and different things like that. But yeah, man, it was a fun time. I will say the negatives of Power Rangers. I did not like the toys that much. I didn't like the flip
The head
toys because they just looked too bulky. When they brought them out a few months ago, or like
Yeah.
really, I was like, I don't think I'm gonna invest in this. I think I'd rather just keep with the Turtles and maybe finish up this Ghostbusters thing going on over here because those were really, really special. Even as a kid, I was like, these are fun. Like I said, I got the Green Ranger and Red Ranger for Christmas, I think, one year.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up with the Black Ranger at one point too. But I was like, yeah, that's just not as something. It didn't work for me, but they sold tons. I mean, it was almost Ninja Turtle level how much they sold.
Yeah, they're everywhere, So, because I mean, that was really part of the whole thing is all the figures and so on. I still think the Zords is really where it's at, though. That's the most impressive part of it all.
The Zords are impressive, and one thing they did do better, especially than the Ninja Turtles, was the weapons.
Yeah,
Because the weapons are like, you get like the Ninja Turtles, you get the brown swords, you get the cool like designs, but they're not like fully detailed. They're just like, you know what I mean? It's just a little accessory. But theirs was like fully detailed. It had like the knife and the fucking flute and all the.
Well,
Pink had the bow, right? She had a bow.
Yeah, she had a bow. Black Ranger had the axe. Billy had he had the trident or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody had a cool weapon. I can't remember what the heck did Trini have again. I was gonna say something like they gave her nunchucks or something, but I know that's not the case.
I wish it was a staff, maybe kind of thing.
Yeah, or she had like maybe like those like the police officer baton type things.
Maybe I can't remember what she had now. She had something though. I want to say I thought she had like the trident thing, but that was Billy, like you said.
That was Billy, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, because it had the 3 horns on it, like the Triceratops.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's it. I definitely remember the black one having the axe because that was the coolest one to me.
Well, and then the cool thing too is it was an axe, but then it could also be a gun as well. Like they were all like multi-purpose too. They were very Japanese.
Oh, yeah, it's fucking cool, man. Yeah, what did the Yellow Ranger have? I need to figure this out. I'll look it up in a little bit. But Yeah, because Pink Ranger was a bow,
Yeah.
and then it was like the dagger slash flute was the Green Ranger.
Yeah. And then
It
Red
was,
Ranger had a sword. He just, you know.
yeah, it was hard as shit. That was sort of was cool too.
Yeah, which is funny because I always think about back in the day of how many schools banned Power Rangers because it was full of martial arts and Japanese metaphors and
Yeah,
you know and weapons and guns and lasers and it was realistically it was like a nightmare for like a school playground's like yard duty.
yeah, but it had to be fun for the teacher to watch all the kids morph. It's like pterodactyl, and they're like, oh god. I,
So,
I, I saw a funny skit on that recently, actually.
yeah, exactly. It probably would have been so weird, you know, just especially if you're like that 55-year-old teacher just looking out the window at these like children, like, what is going on?
What are these shits into? Man, I saw a skit recently. It was like this teacher, and they were all talking about like yeah, Billy's got all these absences. I don't know, but they're all going back and forth about these kids. This guy goes, you know that the Power Rangers, right? Like, you know, that's what they are. And they're like, but they're like, no, that's not him. It's like they're always hang out together. They're always. Have you ever seen Billy not in blue? And then he goes on this whole thing, and then he's like, yeah, that. Could try telling these, these anti-terrorist teenagers are not walking at graduation this year because they're targets. I was like, yeah. The show was so ridiculous. It was at least one thing about the Turtles that did well when I've been rewatching the Turtles every morning because my son's going through a phase, and I put it on for him every morning while he eats his pancakes or cereal or whatever he has, and I forgot how much Raph broke the fourth wall
All the time.
Yeah, all the time. It's just how they would. Bebop too. Bebop was always the one doing it for the bad guys. He was always like, Shadow's gonna have us down here for the rest of this episode or whatever, that kind of shit. But the Power Rangers was just absurd, and they just let it be absurd. Like this fucking town of Angel Grove, worst place to live, on Earth. Like just giant monsters from outer space attacking you all the time, and all you have to worry about these brightly colored, teenagers with attitude. That's what I say.
Yeah, exactly. And here they are to save the day, and bring their martial arts to like the masses.
Yeah, and Zordon was the weirdest thing. Even as a kid, I was like, this is the design you went with. First of all, it looks like Palpatine.
Yeah, it's a Palpatine's brother.
Yeah, he's like Palpatine-esque at least, and he's just weird. It's just a weird. In the movie, he looks even weirder.
Yeah, because they actually show him,
Yeah, because I feel like that's the one area in the movie that didn't look as good because they actually showed more of it. Like, it looks even worse. It's just like, oh, he's laying there on the crystals, and he's like, I'm gonna go, and he's like, kind of like E.T. when he turns to that white dog shit look, He's like out, and Zordon was like, dude, maybe y'all should just let him go. He's looking pretty rough. Really rough.
Yeah, they're like, well, we gotta go to outer space to get some new powers and stuff like that,
Yeah. Well, see, I as a kid did not like that as much because I'm like, I just want to see them in their suits fighting those monsters. Like, just keep going back to that. But then, as I watched it a few more times growing up, because this was a staple when I go to my buddy Alex's house, we'd watch this movie. And they like that stupid song that's in the end credits. Uh-oh, we're in trouble. I always remember that song because the music videos was at the end of the VHS.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, but we would watch that over there all the time. But I used to, the first couple of times I watched it, I hated when they would do the scenes where they would switch back to their, like, I called them Power Ranger pajamas back then.
Pretty much is, the White Ranger's just wearing a cutoff, like, sweatsuit, Kimberly's just got, like, her, crop top on and everything.
Oh, no. Not those. I'm talking about when they are on the island or in outer space.
Oh, you talking about when they have the ninja outfits on?
Yeah, the ninja outfits, but I called them Power Ranger pajamas then because that's what they kind of felt like, Like if I went to the store and bought Power Rangers pajamas, that's kind of how they'd come out.
Yeah, that's kind of like that. I do kind of like the ninja outfits that they have, though. I think those are kind of cool.
Yeah, I know. I like them now. I think it's like the first couple times I watched, I was disappointed because I thought the suits were so cool. But then as I got on, I'm like, this is a cool like alternate like look. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like not full combat mode. Like we're gonna fuck some putties up right now, and then when we gotta fight like the real monsters, let's put the battle armor on.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
But I do kind of get it as a kid though, because a lot of times, like that's like the biggest bummer is like a kid, you go to watch a movie and it's like, why the hell is he not in the costume till the very end? That's like the classic like superhero issue is like when you have those movies where it's like they don't get their costumes till like the last 20 minutes of the movie. You're like, dude, that is stupid.
Yeah. We came here to see the costumes for an hour, and let's rephrase this. We drug our parents to make us let us watch this. Like, come on, give us something. I do slightly disagree. I feel like the movie does lull actually quite a bit. Like the first 30 minutes is good, and in the middle, it's just like there's a few really cool moments. The weird characters you have on the lady, I don't know what the deal was with that. But then there's like the cool dinosaur moment where they're fighting the skeletons, which is kind of cool, even though the skeletons look pretty cheesy.
Yeah, but they're cool puppets.
Yeah, they are, and that was kind of cool, and that was something that the movie didn't have as much of as the TV show. Is that the practical? I think because the CGI, it's easy to be apologetic of it because it's the mid-90s, but again, if you don't have the money to do it, just don't do it.
Yeah. Well, that's the weird part is when you get to the very end and they get to that CG and that's what all the Zords are and everything like that. Now, I do remember watching that like in cinemas and back in the day, like the first couple times watching it. That CG actually, you felt like it looked cool because it just looked like you never saw anything like it, so it looked unique. You had nothing to really compare it to other than maybe Quest World and like Lawnmower Man and a few other things that used CG at the time. I know Jurassic Park's always the big one, but like even like that kind of like very computer looking CG thing was still kind of like a brand new look. So it was like only in hindsight do I feel like it looks kind of like uncanny in a strange way. Though nowadays I'm very nostalgic for when I see that type of CG. It's like the same way I feel about when you see Spawn or when you see Escape from LA and so on like that. Like when it's got that kind of goofy mid-90s CG, there's something almost kind of special about it.
Was it the opening of Event Horizon too?
Yeah, that one's got some CG in it as well too.
Oof, that was a rough one. But but the practical were so cool. I wish I would like to have seen a bigger budget version of what they were already doing.
Yeah, see, and that's the things I feel like, dude, that's the one, like, why didn't you just call up Japan and be like, hey, could you just make us this Zord battle? Like, that's all you had to ask for. I bet you anything it would have been cheaper. Because the CG at that time period, like, even like that CG, it's easy to go like, oh, it looks like cheap CG. I'm like, that's probably extremely expensive CG. That probably was like $5 million out of the like probably a quarter of the budget was for that CG.
Yeah. They could have done a lot of different stuff with that. And, the Turtles should have been a lesson because that first Turtles movie, man, they just threw those awesome suits together and they were doing all those fucking crazy moves in those suits. I mean, that was the year after Batman 89 came out, and those suits killed the Batman 89 suit just in terms of what he could do in it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like Michael Keaton couldn't fucking move his head.
Turn his whole body. Even Val Kilmer couldn't do it either.
Yeah, I know. They just, but they had nipples though.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
that distracts your enemies.
Yeah, it does. It is distracting. Get out of here, your nipples.
In Power Rangers, what I really think it was is I think that they as Americans they wanted to say that they could do it all on their own, that they didn't need Japan. I think there was some American pride going on in this movie that they didn't want to have to call up Toei and be like, hey.
Yeah.
We couldn't do this. You got some Super Sentai we could borrow.
Yeah, no, they wanted to America, fuck yeah, whooping their ass. What's the CGI? Fuck yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's what I felt like they were doing a flex too by showing the CG.
Yeah.
Not realizing that no, the dudes in the suits battling it out on like a soundstage is going to be so much more badass.
Yeah, totally agree. It's just I'm somewhat of an apologist for it too, because it's like you have this new toy and everybody's trying to figure it out, and you needed the cheap movies or the lower budget movies to do it because if it was only movies like Jurassic Park, it didn't want to stay to only movies like Jurassic Park. You needed movies that kind of push the envelope with lower budget stuff to make that technology more accessible and, do more stuff with it, because, even Escape from LA is kind of like that. You needed to kind of like, you suck, with a little bit of money to where you can eventually do good stuff with, but
Well, it's the way I look at it. It's like the Power Rangers one, like that's like literally like that's the foreground for setting up for things like Transformers in like the 2000s.
oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they literally are paving the path with that.
Yeah, I like what they did in the newer Power Rangers movie. I just didn't like the design of like Goldar. I didn't like the design of that. I didn't like the design of some of the stuff they did, but I liked how they put it together. It looked really, really good. If they you know, just come back to what works. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I always felt like that new movie, they could have really fixed it all with a sequel. I think that's one of those ones. Like it was going in a right enough direction that, like, hey,
yeah.
you just turn it a little bit more towards the original style in the sequel, and boom, there you go, you got it. Give them all new costumes and everything.
Well, they teased the Green Ranger at the end of it.
That's right. Yeah.
Post credit scene or at the very, very end. I can't remember, um, but yeah, they had like, they were setting up. It just never came to fruition, which I thought it was going to. It made almost enough money to justify it.
Yeah, I saw it in cinemas, so
I did too.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
was
was
excited.
stoked. But yeah, sadly, yeah, it just didn't catch on. And I don't know if it's that weird one that, like, of course, Power Rangers has multiple generations, but is it one of those weird like pocket things that, like, it only really appeals to like this, like, give or take 5 years up and down from our age, pretty much?
Yeah, yes and no. It's definitely been successful at other times with other generations, but it was definitely a phenomenon or part of the like global consciousness during our childhoods. It was more of a niche thing later. You know what I mean? Even turtles are like that to an extent. Ninja Turtles. It's had its big moments since, but it's never really captured that like hype, and it probably never will.
Yeah, you're never going to get Turtle Mania the same way that you won't ever really get the Power Rangers of 93, 94, just like Pokemon of like 98 to 99, or
Yeah,
realistically even South Park of 98 to 99. Like,
yeah,
I don't think South Park will ever be nearly as big as it was like at those initial couple of seasons where they just really put it all in there. It's still always big, but
yeah,
not that grand scale where like everywhere you go, it's just like there was merchandise and there was toys and there was games and because I feel like what happens is if you get that point where people are like, oh, this is really popular, they're like, we got like 2 years, dump a lot of money into it right now
yeah. Oh
because
yeah,
this wave might end any moment.
yeah. There's a few things that survived that. South Park survived it, and it found its audience, and it's still really, really popular. It doesn't have the global craze that it had, but it's as popular as it ever was in a weird way. It just doesn't
Yeah.
have the same zeitgeist, I guess, that it used to have. But The Simpsons is another one that's obviously still around, but it's never going to capture that moment in time where it was just the cool thing. Like it was, you know what I mean? Like you put Bart
Yeah.
Simpson on fucking anything and sell the shit out of it.
Yeah, exactly. It's still around. One of the few is Pokemon. Pokemon's still like because I think
Yeah,
that was the one everybody thought was gonna just like dip out in like 2003, and that would have been it. And it's like it never went away. It had a couple of dark years where like it was just kind of uncool for people to be into Pokemon, but it felt like it just plowed forward, and it's literally the thing that makes the most amount of money for Nintendo.
I think my brother said this to me, or I read that. I think my brother was the one that told me when Waylon was in his Pokemon phase recently, which he's starting to slightly get back into. But he was like, it's the number one money making franchise of all time,
Yeah,
over Star Wars, over anything.
yeah,
Pokemon's have made more money, and it's stayed popular. I mean, it's especially somebody who's not been really into it.
hmm
I've learned more about it in the past few months because my son's into it than I ever did. I knew like Squirtle and Pikachu. That's all I knew. Like one of the Chars. I knew one of them too. Uh,
yeah.
but yeah, that one's always been kind of like big. But yeah, Power Rangers is still around. It's still doing its thing. It still works. It makes money. I think they're gonna try to reboot it again in the
I think
next
so.
year or so. It's due for another try.
And the nice thing I will say is that it seems like, especially just seeing some of the last movies that come out recently, is that people are kind of figuring it out finally after so many years that like no, just make it like what it's supposed to be and kind of capture its initial vibe, and you'll have yourself a hit. And that's kind of like the Fantastic Four and even the new Superman movie. It's like one of those ones like no, if you kind of keep it like sort of in like the realm it's supposed to be in, it's going to do much better. Like that's what people want. Don't need to try to rewrite like what was already working.
Yeah, that's the thing. You have to like you can make something new, but you have to type in if you're making something popular and you want it to be as successful as it used to be, you have to find why did people love it? Why what did it resonate?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you can't just be like, I'm gonna make my own Superman movie. No, you're gonna like, okay, how do you adapt what resonated with it to this day and age? The Superman movie, I did finally watch it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very like if you are a Superman fan, if you really like that character and you're really into the comics, that worked. It was I thought, man, this feels like a good Superman movie. This feels like what the character's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And Power Rangers, the movie recently, didn't quite do that. It did some things that were really cool though. I like the opening a lot.
Yeah, no, there's some good elements in there for sure.
Yeah.
You know.
And I like the backstory with I liked how the Power Rangers came together, like they were kind of troubled teens. You got the Red Ranger, who they picked a great Red Ranger. They actually cast that one really well.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the cast that they picked for it was really, really good. But yeah, there was some other design things and other choices they made that weren't really good. But there's also I don't know if you've ever seen it. Have you ever seen that short film, Power Ranger short film that somebody did, where it's like really dark and like kind of R-rated?
I've heard of that one. I've never seen it.
I don't think this is the direction they should go with it at all because the Power Rangers are kind of goofy and they're like red and green and blue and like it's made for kids, but it is fun to watch one time. It's great. I mean, it is violent. It's R-rated. It's like like Tommy like stabs somebody in the arm. I think if I remember, they have guns and they're shooting through something.
Well, yeah, that's kind of fun. It's
Yeah.
funny. There was these comics that came out for there was like initial run, and they always have Power Rangers comics, of course. But this was I remember it felt like one when they were kind of doing like it's 1993 Power Rangers, but we're making a comic book, and this maybe 6-7 years ago or something like that. I think it was written by Kyle Higgins.
I think I
There was like
remember.
what I liked about him is like it felt like it kind of captured like in a sense the way you remembered Power Rangers. Like it had the same look, the same feel, all the characters and all that stuff. But the stories were all told like they were serious in a sense. They kind of pulled out like the wackiness and the goofy one-liners and like the sound effects and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's a comic book, so of course you don't have the sound effects, but you know what I mean. And they treated it kind of like it was a superhero story that was just realistic, but here's your characters, but everybody looks the same and everything like that. And I thought that was just the kind of way. I guess the best way to say it'd be like doing it like a PG-13, where you just took your material serious.
Yeah. There's a lot of cool things you can do with it. I mean, can you imagine like the fight if they really let loose with it and really got some like great martial artists in there? Like think of a movie like The Raid or something. It doesn't have to be R-rated though. You just really crazy fight
Just
scenes.
good.
Or the Daredevil TV show, which I know you didn't like that much. But there's some amazing fight scenes in that.
Yeah, there is some good scenes. That's definitely true. You got to wait around for them, but once they do show up, they are good.
Oh yeah, that hallway fight scene, which is a lot. They took a lot of that from The Raid, I think. That man, that's amazing. You could do a lot of really cool stuff with Power Rangers, but
Yeah.
it's a moment in time where those things that was just so popular. It was everywhere, and it was. I don't know if it ever was as big as the Turtles was, but it was damn close. It was damn close.
Yeah, it was a pretty close fandom for sure. It's funny, just even speaking of violence, I was looking at some of like my notes here. Kind of forgot like how violent actually the Power Rangers movie sort of is with all like the ooze guys, because you don't think about it, but like, dude, the Power Rangers when they're battling like oozes like minions, dude, they like kick them into a wall and they like blow up, and then they like drop like a bunch of like junk on top of like 6 of them, and they all explode. Like if you just think of it like in that kind of context, be like, dude, that's pretty violent right there. I mean, I know they're supposed to be ooze guys, but let's be honest, they still are sentient.
The ooze guys exploding into ooze was done so well.
Yeah.
executed so well. Like when he kicks that one and it flies and it's ridiculous, but he hits that pillar and it's just ooze immediately. I'm
It
like,
blows up.
yeah, it kind of reminds me of Men in Black.
Yes.
Yeah, the way they utilize that. That was the first fight scene in that movie is so fun. It's so dumb, but it is so fun. And yeah, there's a lot like when the one falls through like the grate,
Yeah.
and it's like it falls onto the camera, and it's just like ooze everywhere. But that was ooze was the answer to blood in the '90s. Like
Yep.
if I was when I'm going to try to explain my kids the '90s, like how yeah we had violence on TV, and what we used was ooze because
Yeah.
you use ooze and the parents don't write letters. You know, it's not blood. You know, Mortal Kombat got letters. You know, Batman Returns got letters. Ooze doesn't get letters. Okay,
Yep.
people don't send letters and complain about the ooze. So that was your answer. Was ooze.
Yeah. The ooze was safe.
Yeah.
There's another part of the movie that I thought was kind of like ridiculous too, because there's a subplot that we haven't even mentioned, but there's the pretty much the kid that's supposed to be the token Power Rangers fan, you know, an 8-year-old or whatever,
Yeah.
and stuff. And of course, Ivan Ooze comes to town when the Power Rangers are gone and dresses up as a really creepy, you know, Merlin, you know, Carney, and hands out all this free ooze like to all these like '90s kids that like are like, shit, yeah, free stuff, hell yeah,
Yeah. Fucking
you know,
ooze.
no stranger danger here.
No. Let's take this from a stranger. I think it was like an anti-drug message that was supposed to be there or something.
Yeah, so the kids all bring a bunch of silly putty home to like the house because you know Ivan is like, bring it to your family, bring it to your parents. They'll love
Show mom
this
and
stuff.
dad.
Yeah, come here, come touch the ooze, come to the source of the ooze.
Yeah. In my van.
Yeah. You know, but there's a part, okay, so like the ooze turns all the parents into pretty much slaves so they can go work his minefield or his mining so they can get out his pretty much all his robot gears and so on like that, his Zords in a sense. And once he's done with them, he goes to send them to their death and just has these parents to walk off the edge, and the kids have to stop the parents from killing themselves, which actually sounds really dark when you try to explain it like that. But there's a part where like the main kid, he gets the bright idea like, well, how am I going to stop these kids? He's like, oh, I'm just going to get a fire hose, and this is like child logic 101. This fire hose will push the parents and the kids who are pushing the parents back because I'm blasting them with a fire hose.
I mean, compared to some '90s plot devices or just ideas, it's not as bad.
Yeah, it's not the worst. It's just weird more than anything else.
Weird.
Like,
This whole movie's weird. The whole movie's weird, and then you have the whole like not Jason. What's the Green Ranger's name in the movie?
Tommy.
Tommy. Yeah, the whole Tommy Kimberly thing they're trying to set up, and like,
Yeah, like they're always just like sort of like stand real close to each other and everything. All the other Power Rangers just kind of stand there like, oh, okay. That must have been why the other Red Ranger left.
Yeah, that's why the other Red Ranger left. Like he got cooked and he's gone. And
that's why Zach left.
Yeah, Blue Ranger's like, she's not my type anyway. So, so he sticks around for a while. And then, yeah, it's just, yeah. There's a lot of things in there. It just doesn't work. But, you know, I think where it really separates itself from the Turtles was the Turtles just leaned into how stupid it was, and this one tried to make you really get into it. But again, if you don't have that, you don't have the Saved by the Bell element.
Yeah,
that you were also going for too. So, yeah.
And that Saved by the Bell element is very, very prevalent there. And you know, it's like at that time period, that's just like the Fox block of all the stuff you could get. Like in '93, you could watch Power Rangers backed up with Batman, followed by Saved by the Bell, Baywatch. There was a lot of things. Married with Children. They could have all just ran in like a big old like sector right there, and you would have like combined them all together for a perfect party night.
I wish I could go back and organize the TV blocks I watched too, because I think of all the TV I watched and I think of all the things I've seen, and I'm like, how the fuck did I do it? Because like, how did I watch all of Fresh Prince, probably all of Family Matters, a lot of Power Rangers, a lot of Ninja Turtles? Those are the four things DuckTales. I watched a lot of those. Those are the shows I probably watched the most in my formative years.
Yeah.
Were those ones I just mentioned. And I'm like, how did I find time? Because I'd also watch them Step by Step, and I didn't like Full House.
No, I never could really get into that
Yeah,
one either.
yeah. I mean, I watched some of it, but I liked Family Matters and Step by Step, of those Burnett shows or whatever. I like those the best. But I'm like, how did I fit time? How did I watch all that shit? Because I played a lot. I was outside a lot.
Yeah, well,
You
I
know?
used to generally, I would like on a weekday, I'd come home and from like 3:30 to like 9:30 at night, I just watched TV. That's I did a lot of that, where you just
Yeah,
watch like a copious amount of stuff. And I mean, I watched all kinds of programs, not only TV shows. I watched documentaries, History Channel stuff, all that kind of things there. Because I remember there was one time there was a kid that asked me once. It was like in eighth grade. He's like, "Dude, how are you getting all these trivia questions for like history and all that stuff?" And I just looked at him. I'm like, "I watch a lot of TV."
yeah.
I literally didn't learn any of this stuff from books or anything like that. I
Oh,
literally
fuck.
learned it from just watching lots and lots of TV. Like that's how you want to know how I got all A's. I did it from watching TV.
Oh, 100%. I learned so much from television, is like especially pop culture stuff, because I went through a phase probably once I stopped watching cartoons. Something I watched a lot of was VH1.
I watched a copious amount of that.
Yeah, I watched way more of that than I did MTV. I've always was a
Yeah,
VH1.
well, because I liked it because it had more nostalgic type stuff. See, MTV, even in the '90s, it really didn't appeal to me because it was like even at that time period, I still was kind of craving more nostalgic stuff,
Yeah,
Unless it was like Celebrity Deathmatch or like Beavis and Butthead,
yeah,
there wasn't a ton of MTV stuff that really stood out to me.
yeah.
Um,
Same.
for the
I didn't
most
watch.
part, I love VH1. I like VH1 because it felt like it educated me on the '60s, '70s, and '80s really well.
Well, it did, and that was why I liked it too. I love behind the music. I love pop up video.
hmm
Like learning all this stuff, because you found so many factoids. I wish they'd bring that shit back. I wish it was like a YouTube channel that did pop up video. Maybe
Yeah,
not.
pop up video.
Pop up video. Yeah, I used to watch the shit out of that. But man, it's like amazing. Like I think of all the time I was outside playing, all the stuff I did. I don't know how I found time to do it, because I was playing football, I was playing basketball, and on my bike constantly. But I still found time to watch a lot of Family Matters and all those other things too. And I watched a lot of History Channel stuff too.
Well,
Uh,
I think about it like I felt like I was outside a lot on the weekends. And
yeah,
then it was the weekdays is when I just remember watching a lot more like TV, because literally TV was kind of structured that way. Mostly TV on the weekends, other than a couple of shows on maybe Saturday. It was not nearly as strong as the weekdays.
yeah, especially for kids. That's
And,
true.
and Sunday was always terrible for the most part, other than like if you wanted to watch like football. That was about the only thing because every other show. Well, later in the day they would have like sometimes like King of the Hill and Simpsons and stuff like that. Once it moved to that time slot, but for the most part, Sunday used to always be like the dead zone for things.
Sundays when I was a kid, it was like I didn't have the attention span yet to watch a full football game, even though I loved football.
hmm
So I had to know what was going on with it. So I'd watch Sports Center, and then it was always a movie on Sunday nights, like either on TV or just something else. But I always watched a movie every Sunday night. I do remember that was one specific part of it. And at night I would watch before I go to bed, or sometimes while I was going to bed, Nick at Night.
Oh yeah. Then you get all the good old school sitcoms.
Yeah. But that time was not just that, it was Dragnet. I liked
Oh, I
Dragnet.
like Dragnet as well.
I don't know why I liked that as a kid. I look back at that and I'm like, how did I fucking like that? But I love that show.
Yeah.
But yeah. Oh man, good old days. And then somewhere in the middle of all that was a weird old ass Power Rangers. But
And the weird thing about that TV thing is I feel like you can never capture that like that old school of like just sitting down and watching TV that same way. I feel like even with people that try to kind of string this stuff together like it is back in the day, I don't know what it is. There's just something about like you could never properly capture that exact moment of like that kind of stuff. I don't know.
yeah, we were way more relaxed back then. Our attention spans were better too.
Yeah, there's a lot more lounge time. It felt like in like the '90s and even 2000s that I feel like I do not have like the concept of just literally the concept of coming home at like 3:30 and then literally sitting on the couch until like 8:30 at night. Like I would have a hard time even like thinking about that nowadays.
And what's weird is that you really think about it. Like I'm just talking about when you were in school. you weren't in school that much more than you work, really.
No, it really, it was pretty much 8 to 3 o'clock or whatever,
Yeah. So like
give or
9 to 5,
take.
like an hour difference. Like you were
Yeah.
working, you know, what is 8 to 3? So that's 7 hours, 5 days a week, 35 hours. That's 35 hours.
Yeah. You got more than a part time job.
Yeah. Yeah. And so how did I do it? You
Yeah.
know,
And then you're supposed to have homework. But I always had a rule of thumb that I was like, I don't do homework at home. That was the biggest like no 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 no. So I mean like I mostly was like the person I could get my homework done before I left class.
I
I
didn't
was
do
like
it, period.
yeah I was like when I'm home I am not touching anything.
Yeah. I would do it at school in the morning.
Yeah.
A lot of times I would be in one class getting, if I did anything, it was my first period. But a lot of times in first period, I'm doing second period's homework and so on down the line. And it's just so I'm ready for all of it when I did do it. But, it was, yeah, homework is ass.
Yeah, no, that's the one thing I feel like even nowadays, like no, 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 like kids need that time to learn whatever like extracurricular activities they're going to get into.
I don't think they do it as much anymore. Now, granted, my kid's in first grade, so I don't really know yet, but I don't feel like they do it as much. Now it's just like, here's some things to practice at home. Here's some things that you can do to make yourself better for the things that we're going to do in class. But I don't think they do as much homework now.
Yeah, that's good because I think that was always a silly concept was the fact
Yeah,
that like it's like what if you can't figure out how to teach this to me like during these 7 hours that I'm here like forget it
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah, yeah. It's horseshit. I mean, I remember having to go play football. I would get out of school, go to football practice, and then come home and then like, now I got homework. Dude, fuck that. Watch Nick at Night.
well,
Like,
and I hate to sort of say it like realistically by playing football if you go home and do homework you're just going to make your football game that much worse.
yeah,
You can only do so many things in the day, and you're
yeah,
just going to be draining your energy. Yeah, it's like,
yeah. Homework is ass. I
yeah,
think.
yeah. I love education. I just don't like homework. That's just how
Yeah,
it is.
I like learning what I want to learn.
Yeah, that too. That was always
Yeah,
my thing too. Is I was one of those people that would like I would rather go into class and I'd pull up my own book and start reading it. Like,
I know. Yeah, I got in trouble for doing that a lot. I got into a really like obsessive geography phase,
mhm.
and I would just be looking at maps and stuff in the back, of like other textbooks and stuff during school. But I wanted geography B, so it worked out.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, I mean,
Yeah.
when I was 5 years old, I wanted a globe.
Yes. See, that's just how it is, man. We're gonna fucking circumnavigate or something at like 20.
Yeah,
Um,
it'd be like the Magellan or something like that.
yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh, we were gonna find Carmen San Diego.
Yeah, somebody is.
Yeah. But Power Rangers.
Yeah, good times.
Tell us your thoughts on it. I mean, I know my cousin Doug. I know his thoughts on it because he's the one who introduced me to it. I remember my kids watched it. I do remember my wife saying she watched this.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah,
thing is that if it's one of those ones, it's like it's kind of hard to find a girl that didn't watch Power Rangers at the same time as all the guys did. It kind of
yeah.
transcended both.
That was the magic of it. I think if I was going to say one thing that they really did well, it was that. It was that they found a way to, well, actually, the magic is finding a way to make an American TV show with overdubbed English actors and somehow create a Saved by the Bell element into this fucking Japanese show. Like, what, how they did it. But the
And
other
really,
night,
it's Rita's who gives it away. She's the one character that made. Because I remember even as a kid, I was like, "Huh, it's weird that the voice doesn't exactly match up to her lips." I was putting it all together at that time period.
yeah, yeah. I knew something was off the first time I watched something. This is not from here, but, I don't know what's going on. But yeah, you're right. She's the character that gave it away. And also to the overdub monsters, when you really pay attention, even though their mouth's not moving, their arms aren't moving in sync with what they're saying. Does that make sense? So
Yeah,
like, the emphasis will be on something, and they're not clearly that's not what the emphasis is in the sentence. So you're like, because they can just overdub it anywhere when their mouth's not moving. They're saying, "Fuck it, say whatever you want." You know what I mean?
exactly. Well, plus, and also the Japanese one, I'll say the monsters actually sound more badass and monster-like, where like they make them kind of seem all kind of special ed and like, here like Gold Artist seems like a moron like half the time. Ooh,
Yeah, Goldar is Bebop and Rocksteady mixed.
Yeah, literally. We're like in the Japanese one. He's like, you know, he's got like
Oh,
he's
oh.
like way more of a, like intense.
What was the fucking bad guy with the Z?
Oh, Lord Zed.
Okay, that one was the coolest by far.
Yeah, he's so cool looking.
Yeah, that was like the best design. It looked like the perfect villain. Well, it was their shredder.
Yeah, he really was. And the nice thing too is they held, because I don't think he came until season 2. You know, because like he
Yeah.
was, you know, you had Rita and you had all her goons and so on like that, and then it's like when you up the ante, it's like, oh, now you bring in Lord Zed. It's like, oh, that's badass.
Oh, I just remember my dad. Well, he was coming in on us. Me and my brother would be watching the show. My brother was little. He's like, "What's Yoko bitching about now?" Like every time, like Rita Repulsa was up there, but she does kind of have a Yoko vibe a little bit.
She does, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah. Ah, we get these Rangers. Ah. It's like, oh my gosh. And Paul's like, "Shut up." Um, I have a massive disdain. I mean, a unbridled hatred for Yoko Ono. Like, it's probably like I'm not my least favorite person, but we're in the car. Like, it's maybe Mount Rushmore. Like, she might make my Mount Rushmore. Oh my god. But yeah. We did have that a little bit going on. Not just because the Asian thing, but my dad always just made that joke. What's Yoko bitching about now?
It's a perfect dad joke too to
It
go along with
really
it.
was,
Ties it so well, just like
yeah, no, he had all those, man. He was just those one-liners. Just you know, he had them all, man. But yeah, good old Power Rangers. He's in there watching Cops. Why are you sweaty? I'm watching Cops.
just good old 93 to 95, like one of the just the best eras of stuff. It doesn't matter what it is. Animation's great, movies are great, video games are great. Like everything's on fire on all cylinders at that time period.
I would say 93 to 97.
Oh yeah, I'd go even farther too. I was just more going the Power Rangers kind of core
Oh
run.
yeah. You're right.
And then just everything else that circles around with it, you know, because like because in a sense, realistically, like the first 3 seasons of Power Rangers kind of captures like the general stuff, and then it starts to switch from there. Even really, you could say season 3 starts to switch up a bit, but just that era though, just with everything you had to do at that time period, you know, you had great wrestling, but both WCW, WWF, you got Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis to choose from, like.
Mm-hmm. 90s were it, man. 90s were it, and the Power Rangers was that perfect gap in the middle where it caught so much. I think we talked about this recently. It takes the first couple of years of a decade is figuring out what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And the last few years of a decade it's that decade is completely dialed in. Like its identity is strong, but the middle part is where you're it's filtering out what worked and what didn't work. What is the 90s? And that 95 era, like this age of like when the movie was released and all that stuff. And think about Space Jam, which is sitting right across from me, the movie. It was just that is the 90s. Like
Yes.
early internet, just the extreme sports stuff going on in this movie is so 90s.
Yeah.
Power Rangers was perfect for that time.
Yeah. You throw in some early CG and all that stuff, you just kind of have the full
yes.
spectrum. You
Yeah.
know, yeah. No, it really hits every. Like it really is. Like it's probably one of the best examples of how to explain like what was the '90s sort of like. Like I feel like if you had a top 10 list of like what movies kind of define the '90s, I think Power Rangers would definitely be right up there at the tippy top.
Do you think? And this is the last thing I think. I want your opinion on this one as much because even though it had that American element, I think a lot of kids kind of figured out this was from Japan. You know, do you think that Dragon Ball Z and Sailor Moon and even fucking Pokemon, for that example, pops off the way it does without the Power Rangers?
I think Power Rangers is definitely what makes that pop off. I think
Yeah.
it's like it's a weird buildup that like nobody really sees, kind of like, or at least I never noticed it as a kid, but it makes total sense when I look at it in hindsight. Is you have all the karate movies, as in the Karate Kid, all the ninja stuff, Enter the Ninja, American Ninja, all these movies that are building up in the 80s, Three Ninjas, and all that stuff, Ninja Turtles. And it's like, this is all culminating into this very Japanese-ness. You have all, even like the adult movies that, maybe as a kid you would kind of catch, like Rising Sun and RoboCop, 2 and 3 and all that stuff that start having these Japanese business elements in them. And I feel Power Rangers is kind of there just to give a very American vibe to it, very 90s, but it's circled with anime completely. And
Yeah.
then it makes such a logical sense that like when Dragon Ball Z and Ranma and all those ones kind of start coming out and being normal, that you just understood them perfectly as a kid. Like you did not have to question them. Where I felt like maybe a generation 10 years beforehand would have a hard time comprehending it.
Yeah, all those other things like Three Ninjas, Ninja Turtles, it was very Americanized. Any Japanese element was kind of disguised.
Yeah, but like it was still given they were filtering in all the Japanese stuff there.
Yeah.
Even if it was kind of toned down, it was like you were seeing it. You were seeing the way of life. You were seeing Mr. Miyagi. You were seeing his style. You were seeing, they would have Japanese philosophies in there and Japanese customs and ways and outfits, and it was a buildup. And I feel like it slowly it eased us literally into anime, and then anime could kind of come in like a wave, and it was like perfect. They're ready for this.
Yeah, I definitely think the Power Rangers made studios and executives and business people like, okay, like you said earlier in the episode, we don't have to disguise this as much. Like they can handle it. Because I remember it was not long after this that Sailor Moon popped off. I remember my brother and sister watching that a lot.
Yeah, and Sailor Moon, that's the one that's actually the start of like I feel like the real, like in a sense, the anime boom. People always want to give the credit to Dragon Ball and Pokemon, but realistically Sailor Moon came out before, because I remember it was like 94 Sailor Moon popped on there, and that was actually on regular TV and so on like that, and Dragon Ball Z, I think it wasn't like you could get them on VHS, but I don't think it was like till 96 or 97 that one finally kind of was released in the US.
Yeah. I remember Dragon Ball Z being the first thing. I remember my brother, because we're like 7 years apart. That was the first thing I remember him getting into that I wasn't into already. You know what I mean? Like I was his first identifiable, this is my thing.
Yeah, you didn't show him it. He found it on his own.
Right, exactly. And but they watched Sailor Moon too, so maybe Sailor Moon was first, but he really got into Dragon Ball, and I feel like that's his thing. I got into it later and I thought it was pretty cool. Yeah. But I think about the difference between him. He watches like all these anime. He watches One Piece and all that stuff, and
there's just so many of them. That's the thing. It's like I go through a ton of different. Well, I like a lot of the books and so on, but like just like so many other things. Like I don't even know how you keep up on all this stuff. And a lot of times for me, I'll go. I like my 70s and 80s anime and so on like that more than anything else.
I was tripping out the other day. Tom Brady was doing one of his interviews, and he always kind of goes into his motivational stuff, which is really good to listen. I mean, he is so awesome to listen to talk, but he was doing this thing and he started talking about the state of football and what's wrong with it, what needs to be fixed, but he was in a One Piece shirt the whole time. I was like, wow, that kind of tripped me out. I did not expect that from him.
That's interesting. Yeah. How old is Tom Brady then?
He's 46.
Wow, that's actually really kind of bizarre, because One Piece, I remember, because when that show kind of came out, now granted in Japan it was like 99 or whatever, but by the time it made it to the US, it felt like it was just a fraction past. In a sense, it felt for me, I felt like I was just a couple years past the boat, to get into that. If I was just a couple years younger, I could totally see where you would. But like for me, I was like, by that point, I was like, I like my more, older animes by this point. I want to see my characters in like their 20s and 40s,
Yeah. I just thought that was a weird thing. I've never watched an episode of it, but I know he was really into it. And the Airbender show, whatever, Avatar or whatever.
Oh, yeah. That was, for example, when the Americans started to try to disguise cartoons as animes.
Yeah. Yeah. No, we're trying to make them our own. Yeah. But, Power Rangers, big deal. Really influential. Really, really, really just well-designed. Really cool characters. It's still... Look, the helmets on these guys, especially, have held up so well. It's one of those things when they try to modernize it, it's not like when you try to like make a new Batman movie, you got to make the suit look kind of contemporary. Like you can add some old elements, but you want it to kind of look like if they do Power Rangers, I want that look.
Yeah, that
No.
that look was already perfected. Really, like
Yeah,
everything about Power Rangers was pretty much perfected in its design, look, and feel, and everything like that. It's
I
all
feel better.
there.
Yeah, it's all there. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Watch the movie. It's on Prime. I think most fucking TV shows on Netflix. Uh,
Yeah, I'm kind of interested in that recharge or whatever the heck it is.
yeah, I feel like maybe I did turn it on for a second. It's not, I mean, it's the original show, but they just kind of like re they fixed it up. I know they fixed some of the grain in it too. There was some stuff that just was way too grainy. It didn't work out. Um, I feel like they added an episode in or something, or took some episodes out.
Well, see, that's what I kind of wondered if they did the thing where they sort of streamlined some of the stuff.
I think maybe I have to look more into it, but I feel like they I feel like I remember them saying they either added or subtracted something. Um, but and I don't even know, it might not even be the full first season. I don't know how much of it is, but I think it's the first season or so. They
Yeah,
kind of redeveloped, and I remember it not looking that much different. We just
yeah,
format. It's more of a format thing, I think.
yeah, probably, and just probably just redone in high definition and all that kind of stuff, remastered.
Yeah, but go check it out. Yeah, you can see the movie on Amazon right now. Sorry, you can see the movie on Amazon Prime. TV shows on Netflix. I think a few eras of Power Rangers on Netflix right now.
Yeah,
And go watch the movie. What was it 2016, 17?
yeah, I think it's 17. It's still
Yeah,
good. It's not amazing, but I think it's worth the watch.
yeah. I remember that I went just real quick when I saw that movie was I mean right after maybe within like weeks after I did the first via VHS thing. And I went with Beebs and Derek
Hmm.
to go see that movie. So yeah.
That's where the timestamps at. I remember
Yeah.
that's also one that there was a period where like they used to give out these like big, thick, kind of like cool holographic like movie tickets. I guess they sort of were giant cards. It was one of those novelty things that they did it for like maybe all of like 10 movies. But Power Rangers was one of them, and I have those cards.
Oh,
I got them for like that. I got one for like Death Wish, the Bruce Willis one, and I think I got one for like one of the Mission Impossibles or something like that. I think
man.
had it as well too. So it was kind of cool. I love the novelty things, and yeah, it's
I do
neat to have
too.
the Power Rangers one.
Yeah, that reminds me. I have the new Mission Impossible to watch. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet. I bought it, so I need to go watch it.
Ooh, it's good. You're gonna wonder how Tom Cruise gets out of that ice chamber at the bottom of the ocean, but he's Tom Cruise, so I just believe in him.
He's Houdini at this point.
Yeah, literally, it's a Houdini stunt that he does. That was the only thing I kind of questioned in the movie. I was like, wait a second, there, like that, like I had to actually, I went online and asked ChatGPT of like how someone could do that the way he did it, and they're like, well, let's be honest, it's Tom Cruise.
Oh man, Tom Cruise. Um, by the way, Days of Thunder 2 looks like it's happening. Just don't know.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I'm down.
Oh, that is a opening night watch for me. That
I'm
is an
there.
opening night watch, especially if he's Cold Trickle and you bring back to some of the '90s paint scheme. Oh fuck yeah,
Oh yeah, you crack open a mellow yellow.
yeah. That'll be the first time I've done that in a long time.
I've only tasted mellow yellow once when I found one of those like 100 flavored like Coke machines. That's because that's the only way you can get them like in California is if it's in one of those
Oh
things.
really? Mellow
Yeah,
Yellow's not out there?
they don't sell them normally. Yeah,
Oh wow, it's out here. It's not as prevalent as Mountain Dew, but it's out here. I mean, I can go get a Mellow Yellow right now.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, it is mellow. It's a very mild Mountain Dew, almost like slightly flat Mountain Dew.
yeah. It's calm Mountain Dew.
Yeah, yeah. It's Hill Dew.
Yeah, it's for when you got 500 laps you need to get done. And you want to be mellow and in
Yeah,
charge there.
chilling. Yeah,
You crack a mellow yellow when I drive.
it was a time where it was more popular than Mountain Dew. But when I was a kid, I remember
Yeah.
it was a time. But Time has passed. Thank y'all for listening. We can go on and on forever about all kinds of nostalgic stuff. The Power Rangers, that's our take on it. We had fun with it, and we had a lot to say. So thank y'all for listening. Oh, I was waiting for you to like chime in with your last.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. Yeah. I was like, okay. Cool. Yeah, no, we had a great time Power Rangers and all that good stuff there. And always a classic. I can't wait to watch some more of it, as always.
Yeah.
And I'm actually kind of looking forward to watching Power Rangers Turbo again. As I said, I haven't seen that since probably '98, so I'm ready to go back.
Maybe we need to go check that one out too, because I remember it being really bad. But man, we're gonna have fun with something like that. But anyway, there you go. Power Rangers. Told you where you can find it. Tell us what you think. Y'all have a good one. Via VHS is out. There we go.